Travis Kelce, touchdown!
Every fan knows who the best players in the game are. It's pretty obvious, as you typically see their jerseys everywhere, both in the stadium and the parking lot. At the other end of the spectrum, we also kind of know who the worst players are, as they're typically the ones who receive our vitriol. However, there is a third group, the players who are really good, yet fail to get the recognition that they really deserve. So today, we're going to rectify that and acknowledge 10 NFL players with sneaky good stats, but very little recognition. Garett Bolles, OT, Denver Broncos. Offensive linemen are probably the most underappreciated players on a football team. Week after week, they grind away in the trenches, battling with other behemoths and trying to keep their quarterback safe. It's the least glamorous job in pro football. Fortunately for the Denver Broncos, they have one of the best offensive linemen in the NFL today. However, most people just don't know about him. Garett Bolles was drafted by the Broncos in the first round, 20th overall of the 2017 draft, and was immediately inserted into the starting lineup as the left tackle. Since then, Bolles has been a consistent presence on the Denver offensive line. Since his debut 9 years ago, his durability has allowed him to start 133 games, only missing 12 games in 2022 with a broken leg. Perhaps one of the reasons Bolles isn't recognized is that he's not been able to shake his early reputation as a player who took bad penalties. While that may have been true, it hasn't been the case for many years now. He operates as a shutdown left tackle who is capable of dominating the trenches. Bolles did earn first-team All-Pro honors last year, so hey, maybe the secret is finally starting to get out. George Karlaftis, DE, Kansas City Chiefs. When fans look at defensive players, they want to see eye-popping stats. They want to see a defensive end with 20-plus sacks in a season, or a cornerback with a dozen interceptions. Yet, what allows those players to put up such dazzling numbers are the unsung members of the defense. Players like George Karlaftis. The Chiefs chose Karlaftis with the 30th pick in 2022, and he's since gone on to become a key member of 2 Super Bowl championships. While Karlaftis doesn't have the eye-catching numbers that other defensive stars have, he is still a disruptive presence on the Kansas City defense. According to experts, he reached his career high with 10.5 sacks in 2023, but he does so much more than that on the field of play. Advanced metrics show that the defensive end regularly ranks near the top of the league in quarterback pressures and win rate percentages. Despite his placement as one of the top 25 edge rushers in the game, he has no Pro Bowls or awards to show for his work. Much the same way a good rhythm guitarist lets a lead shine, George Karlaftis plays down the groove for others to take the spotlight. Elgton Jenkins, OL, Green Bay Packers. Here we are with another of the National Football League's unsung heroes, an offensive lineman. A 6'5", 315-pound monster, Elgton Jenkins has been a rock on the offensive line for the Green Bay Packers. Actually, he's been a big contributor to the stability that the Packers have had on offense. One factor limiting Jenkins' recognition, believe it or not, is actually his versatility. He is a true jack-of-all-trades player. The fact that he can play left tackle, right tackle, left guard, and center, and play them all at a Pro Bowl level is exactly why he only has 2 Pro Bowl selections. Bouncing around the offensive line means that Jenkins loses out to players with more positional stability. Yet ESPN ranked him as the NFL's most underrated interior lineman, as he often allowed the lowest quarterback pressure rate among guards. Now a member of the Browns, he'll look to bring that same versatility and professionalism with him to Cleveland. Jenkins is the type of athlete who shows up, does his job, and he does it well, and then goes home. A true blue-collar player who just doesn't get the recognition that he really deserves. Until now. James Cook, RB, Buffalo Bills. Ask casual football fans, not the fantasy football crowd, to name the best running backs in the league right now, and you'll probably hear names like Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, or Bijan Robinson. One name that you probably won't hear in that conversation is James Cook, and that is a damn shame. Despite putting together back-to-back-to-back 1,000-yard rushing seasons, including a league-leading 16 rushing touchdowns in 2024 and a league-leading 1,621 rushing yards in 2025, you just don't hear about this guy. The man is an absolute star out of the backfield, earning 3 straight Pro Bowl selections, which should have him in the conversation for the best running back playing today. Unfortunately, he's just been overshadowed by other flashier running backs in the league. Another blow to Cook receiving proper recognition perception is that he's being upstaged on his own team. The reality is that almost any player would be in the shadow of Josh Allen. You know, who's the face of the franchise and one of the faces of the NFL. Although the Bills are one of the NFL's top teams and a yearly Super Bowl contender, perhaps playing in the smaller national market limits the star back's notoriety. Regardless, it's a darn shame because James Cook deserves far more recognition than he really gets. Likely, TE, New York Giants. For some reason, it seems as if tight ends are put into two categories. The greats, like Travis Kelce, Tony Gonzalez, and Gronk, or the trash pile. But, you know, there are plenty of good, underrated tight ends out there. In fact, Likely is currently a good and underrated tight end, but all that might change this coming season. But we'll get to that. When Likely has been in the Ravens lineup, he's produced at a high level. But that's kinda the problem. He hasn't been able to consistently crack the Baltimore lineup. But hey, that's to be expected when the Ravens are able to trot out Pro Bowler Mark Andrews as their starter. However, when he has been out injured, Likely has stepped in and shown himself to be a true playmaker, especially in the red zone. This offseason, he signed a 3-year, $47.5 million contract with the New York Giants to be their starting tight end. So he'll finally have an opportunity to showcase his immense talent, versatility, and athleticism. They say that if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. And with the potential to become at least a top 10, if not a top 5 tight end, Likely might not be unrecognized for too much longer. Andrew Van Ginkel, LB, Minnesota Vikings. Not every linebacker can be Lawrence Taylor, terrorizing opposing quarterbacks from the outside rush and revolutionizing the position. Since, you know, the vast majority of linebackers can't hope to be LT, they can at least hope to be Andrew Van Ginkel, who's one of the most underrated linebackers in the game today. Seriously, watch a Dolphins game from 2020 to 2023 or a current Vikings game, and what you'll see is Van Ginkel being a defensive presence from sideline to sideline. While he doesn't post the gaudy numbers that other linebackers do, Van Ginkel is capable of playing in the most defensive schemes, as he can be an effective pass rusher while also being able to drop into coverage and disrupt screen plays. He's returned 3 interceptions for touchdowns, so the opportunity to turn defense into offense is always there. Van Ginkel will never have his number retired, and he's not good enough to make the Hall of Fame, but what he is a solid, reliable, versatile Pro Bowl caliber linebacker who consistently does his job. Those are exactly the type of players that every team wants, and those are exactly the type of players who don't get the proper recognition. Jalen Coker, WR, Carolina Panthers. It's one thing for fans or the media to not give a player the recognition they're due, but it's a whole different level of disrespect when the entire NFL fails to recognize you. Jalen Coker went undrafted out of Holy Cross, so when he signed as an undrafted free agent, any production he supplied would be a bonus. The Panthers? Whew, they got much more than they expected. While he only had 478 receiving yards in his rookie season, he still led the team with 14.9 yards per reception. Although his rookie and sophomore seasons were nothing special, at least according to basic stats, receptions, yards, or touchdowns, there were a few things that began to stand out. Coker made up for his weaknesses with his innate ability to read defenses, find soft spots in zone coverages, and gain separation from defenders when it mattered the most. It's those talents that have allowed Coker to become a major third down threat for the Panthers. His ability to consistently move the chains is a massive weapon in quarterback Bryce Young's arsenal. In just 2 seasons, Coker has a total of 45 receiving first downs and a career first down reception rate of approximately 69%. It is a very specific skill set, but one that allows Jalen Coker to fly below the radar. Brock Purdy, QB, San Francisco 49ers. Brock Purdy has to be one of the most polarizing quarterbacks in the game today, as fans either love or hate him, and there really doesn't seem to be a middle ground with him. Purdy's detractors say that he's more a product of the 49ers system and elite offensive talent, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, and George Kittle, than an elite quarterback. Others point to his perceived struggle to improvise when a play breaks down, his injury history, his lack of a Super Bowl win, and/or his status as Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick of the 2022 NFL Draft. It's unfortunate that Purdy doesn't get the recognition that he deserves because, man, he is a great quarterback. They say numbers don't lie, and the 49ers quarterback's numbers show him as somebody who maybe lacks the size and elite arm strength of some others, but Purdy regularly posts high passer ratings with a career completion percentage of 67.9% and continues to perform at a high level when the Niners' other stars are out with injuries. Lastly, NFL players once voted him as the most underrated quarterback in the league, which kind of shows that Brock Purdy is underrated, underappreciated, and unrecognized. Daiyan Henley, MLB, Los Angeles Chargers. Do you know the name Daiyan Henley? Most fans don't, but they should because he is one of the best young linebackers in the game right now. After being drafted by the Chargers in the 3rd round, Henley saw limited action in 2023. In 2024, the linebacker amassed 147 combined tackles in helping lead Los Angeles into the playoffs. He followed up his great season with a 10-tackle performance in their lone playoff game that year. Henley once again surpassed 100 combined tackles, and in that year's one playoff game, he had 13 tackles. Because he doesn't amass high sack totals like other players, Henley gets lost in the shuffle. But clearly, the man is a tackling machine. He is definitely the type to take down Grandma as she is heading for the last spoonful of stuffing on Thanksgiving. One of the reasons he's so effective is due to his incredible athletic ability. While in college, Henley switched from quarterback to wide receiver before moving to defense. His elite athleticism and coverage instincts are rare for a linebacker. Although he doesn't get the national recognition he deserves right now, that will quickly change as Henley, barring injury, could be an all-time great. Zach Ertz, TE, Washington Commanders. Let's end our list with an underrated, unrecognized, but potential future Hall of Fame tight end, Zach Ertz. Over a 13-year career, Ertz has been selected to Pro Bowls, won a Super Bowl, surpassed 1,000 receiving yards in a season, and made a career comeback. Yet, he's often overlooked when discussing the league's best tight ends. During his 8.5 seasons with the Eagles, Ertz earned 3 Pro Bowl selections and carved out a role as a key component of the Philadelphia offense. Highlighted during the Eagles' 2017 run to a Super Bowl title, Ertz averaged 64 receiving yards per game. Due to the emergence of Dallas Goedert, contract issues, and salary cap limitations, the Eagles traded Ertz to the Cardinals. 2+ seasons with the Cardinals were mostly unproductive, and the tight end's career looked like it was winding down. However, leaving the desert and signing with the Commanders seems to have revitalized his career before he suffered a season-ending knee injury in 2025. But before that injury, he was praised for bringing stability and veteran leadership to the Washington locker room. The 35-year-old is currently a free agent and expects to be healthy for the 2026 season. So here's hoping Zach Ertz makes a successful comeback because for a tight end who's ranked 10th all-time with 57 career touchdowns, he deserves more credit than he gets. But what are some other players who are not getting the recognition that they really deserve right now? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, then hey, clicking the like button helps us out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.